You come home after a day that wasn't even that hard. You sit down, open your phone, scroll for a while, maybe watch something. Hours pass. And when you finally stand up to go to bed, you don't feel rested. You feel worse, like you wasted time you can't get back. And you're still tired. This happens all the time. You rest, but you don't recover. And the strange part is, it's not because you didn't rest enough. It's because of how you rested. Most people think rest is just the absence of work. You stop doing things, and your body recharges. That's the idea. But if that were true, then lying on the couch for 3 hours should leave you feeling great, and it doesn't. It leaves you foggy, guilty, and still exhausted. So what's actually happening? The problem is that not all rest is restorative. Some types of rest don't give your mind or body what they actually need. They just fill time. And because they feel like rest, you assume you're doing the right thing. But your nervous system knows the difference. There's a concept in psychology about active versus passive recovery. Active recovery means you're doing something that genuinely restores you. It might be a walk, a conversation, cooking something simple, stretching, being outside. Passive recovery is when you're technically resting, but your brain is still stimulated in a way that doesn't let it reset. Scrolling, binge-watching, lying in bed staring at your phone. It feels like rest because you're not working. But your brain is still processing, still reacting, still engaged in a way that doesn't restore anything. And here's the uncomfortable part. The things most of us do to rest are designed to keep us engaged. Social media, streaming platforms, even the way videos autoplay. They're built to hold your attention. So when you think you're resting, you're actually still in a state of low-level stimulation. Your body is still, but your mind is not. This explains why you can spend an entire Sunday doing nothing and still feel drained. You weren't actually recovering. You were occupying yourself in a way that felt restful, but wasn't. Research on cognitive load shows that your brain uses energy even when you're not moving. Decision-making, reacting to notifications, switching between apps. All of that creates mental fatigue. And because it happens while you're sitting down, you don't notice it the same way you notice physical tiredness. You just feel off, irritable, like something's wrong but you can't say what. There's also something called decision fatigue. Every time you choose what to watch, what to click, whether to respond to a message, your brain is working. It's small work, but it adds up. And if your rest is full of tiny decisions, you're not really resting. You're just working in a different way. Then there's the guilt. You rest, but you don't feel better, so you assume you rested wrong. Maybe you're lazy, maybe you lack discipline. And that thought makes the tiredness worse, because now you're tired and ashamed. But the truth is, it's not about willpower. It's about the type of rest you're choosing, often without realizing there's even a choice. Let's look at a normal evening. You finish work. You're mentally drained. You sit down and open your phone. You check messages, scroll through videos, read comments, watch something you're not really interested in, but it's there. 2 hours pass. You haven't moved. You haven't thought about anything deeply, but you also haven't let your mind go quiet. You've kept it busy in a way that feels like nothing, but isn't nothing. Compare that to a different evening. You finish work, you go outside for 15 minutes, you don't bring your phone, you just walk. You notice the air, the light, the sound of things around you. You come back, make tea, sit without a screen for a bit. Maybe you do nothing. Maybe you think. Maybe you don't. But your mind has space, and when you go to bed, you feel different. Not perfect, not energized, but more settled, more like yourself. The difference isn't the amount of time, it's the quality of attention. In the first example, your attention is scattered and reactive. In the second, it's either focused or truly off. And your brain needs one of those two states to recover. It can't restore itself in the middle ground. This is why people often say they feel more rested after a busy day doing something they care about than after a day of doing nothing. Because doing nothing often means doing low-value things that don't restore you. And doing something meaningful, even if it's tiring, gives your brain a sense of completion. It's not just about energy. It's about whether your mind feels like it went somewhere. There's also the physical component. Your body is built to move. When you rest by being completely still for hours, your body doesn't recover the way you think it does. Blood flow slows. Your muscles stay tense in weird positions. Your energy drops. And when you finally move again, you feel stiff and sluggish. Not because you rested too much, but because you rested in a way that your body doesn't actually recognize as rest. Real rest often involves some movement. A walk, stretching, cleaning something, light activity that lets your body reset without demanding much from it. But we've been taught to think rest means stillness, and for a lot of people, that belief is making them more tired. Now, this doesn't mean scrolling is evil or watching TV is bad. It just means those things aren't restorative. They're fine as entertainment. They're fine as distraction. But if you're relying on them to recharge, they won't do it. And if you're confused about why you still feel tired, that's probably why. It also doesn't mean you need to be productive during rest. This isn't about optimizing your downtime or turning rest into another task. It's just about recognizing that rest is a specific thing. And if what you're doing doesn't give your mind and body what they need, it's not rest. It's just time passing. The realization here is quiet but important. You're not failing at rest. You're just doing something else and calling it rest. And once you see that, you can start to notice what actually works. Not what's supposed to work, not what other people say works, but what leaves you feeling a little more human at the end of it. Some people feel restored by being around others. Some need to be alone. Some need to move. Some need to sit in silence. There's no single right way, but there is a wrong way, and it's the way that keeps your brain humming without giving it anywhere to go. You'll know the difference when you pay attention. Real rest doesn't leave you feeling guilty or foggy. It doesn't make you wonder where the time went. It leaves you feeling like you were actually somewhere, even if that somewhere was just your own thoughts, your own body, your own quiet. And maybe that's the most uncomfortable part. Real rest requires you to be with yourself. No distraction, no noise, just you and whatever comes up when you stop filling the space. For a lot of people, that's harder than working, and so they avoid it. They rest in ways that keep them busy enough not to feel anything, and then they wonder why they're still so tired. You don't need to fix this. You don't need a plan or a routine or a new habit. You just need to notice it. Notice what you do when you rest. Notice how you feel after, and notice whether the thing you're calling rest is actually giving you anything back. Because if it's not, you're not resting, you're just waiting. And waiting doesn't restore anything. It just makes the tiredness last longer.